Hello everybody, welcome to Scottie the Trainer Tuesdays. I am Scottie the Trainer. For the last few weeks I've been dealing with a series, and the series is entitled Encountering Emotions. Encountering Emotions. We've talked about anger, we've talked about bitterness, we've talked about emotions in general, and today I wanted to jump into something else that will affect us a lot of times in regards to our emotions, and that's worry. I want to talk about the actual weight of worry. The actual weight of worry. You know, worrying about things in your life will wear you down. It'll wear your physical body down. It'll wear you down spiritually. Worrying really does take a toll on a person's life. There are people that have gone to the doctor and have been treated for stress illnesses and things of the like because of it stemming from worry. You know, when we talk about worrying, it's something that all of us do. And just as I said in the very beginning video, which if you haven't seen, you can go back and check those videos out. The very first Encountering Emotions. Everybody has emotions. Everybody. The emotions are not the problem. The problem is how we deal with those emotions. Do we handle the emotions, or do the emotions handle us? And I talked about that. You could check those videos out. But when it comes to worry, I think about it like this. Worrying is something we all do. And there's an amount of worry that's beneficial, because worrying sometimes makes you become cautious about certain things, which makes you move slower and not make quick decisions. So there is a benefit to worry. But when worrying is dragging you down like a weight, that's when something has to be done about it. I read a humorous story about a man by the name of Wilbur. And Wilbur was a first-class worrier. So he went to a counselor, and the counselor was dealing with him. And over time, the counselor looked at him and said, "Wilbur, let me just ask you a question. What would you do if tomorrow you got up and there was absolutely nothing for you to worry about?" And Wilbur looked back at him and said, "Oh, that would be terrible, because then I would worry about why I'm not worrying anymore." Some people just worry to worry for no reason whatsoever. So how do we deal with worry? How do we confront it? How do we assimilate it into our lives? Well, let me give you some things quickly that I think will be beneficial, all right? Number one, try, and you really have to work on this all the time. Try not to carry past issues. Try not to carry past issues. You know, some people are still holding on to bad decisions that they've made. But the fact of the matter is this: the decision was made, it's done. What's done is done. You know, my father used to say all the time, no sense crying over spilt milk. You can't do anything about it. You can't put it back in the jug. All you can do is clean the table and move on. And there are decisions that all of us have made that we wish we hadn't made. We would know that we would be in a different place now if we hadn't made those decisions. But we made them. We went down the road. We're dealing with issues. So now, what's happened is happened. What's past is past. You can't sit there and worry about, what if I'd done this? What if I'd done that? You did what you did. I made the decisions that I made. Now, we're dealing with the circumstances that we're in. Past issues try to hang on sometimes. And we either deal with them and move on, or we let them crush us. Some people are being haunted right now by past decisions. But the decision was made. No sense worrying over it. Now we got to focus on where we are and which direction we're going now. So one, try not to carry past issues. Number two, Don't presume future problems. Well, that's a big one. Don't presume future problems. You know, I know an attorney, very good friend of mine, that when he handles cases, one day we were talking about different cases, and I said to him, I said, what do you do if you're walking out of the courtroom and you overhear your opponent? You overhear them making a plan. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. What do? Do you stop? Do you listen? Do you eavesdrop? Do you try to move forward? He said, no. He goes, I do what is presented in front of me. He goes, I don't go borrowing, that's the phrase. I don't go borrowing trouble from a situation I may not know anything about. A lot of people are worrying every day, worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, worrying about what's going to happen next year, worrying about what's going to happen if this doesn't come to pass or that doesn't come to pass. And the fact of the matter is, what can we do about the future? What can we do? Now, yes, we can plan. Yes, we can prepare. But what truly do you or I, what power do we own over the future? We don't. You know, Dr. Mike Murdock said, things are never as bad as you think they are. And many times in my life, I've come up on situations and said, oh my goodness, this is horrible. It's never going to get any better. This is the worst situation ever. And when I stop and look back on it, it wasn't. It may have been difficult. It may have been tough, but it wasn't the worst thing ever. And you know what? I lived to talk about it. I'm standing here today. So try not to carry past issues. Don't presume future problems. A lot of times the things that we're worried about never even come to pass. It's kind of like the weather report. The weatherman, especially here in this state, right? The weather person comes on and says, oh, there's just going to be a half an inch of snow. What happens? You go outside and there's 4 inches on the car and the roads are all iced over. Or when they tell you it's going to be bad thunderstorms rolling your way, F5 tornadoes, everybody prepare. And you know what happens? Partly sunny. Never even get any wind. That's the way it is about presuming future problems. Number 3, focus on living in the now. Focus on living in the now. You know, when I was in college at Harvard, there was a professor that used to say, God knew you couldn't handle seeing everything. So what he did was he divided your days up, your time up in 24-hour increments. And he knew you couldn't handle 24 hours at one time. So he broke them up into hour increments. And he knew an hour might be too much for you. So he broke that down into minutes. And minutes are a little tough sometimes for man to handle, so he broke those into seconds. And he was saying you learn to live moment by moment by moment by enjoying and dealing with what's in the now. You know, part of what I do as a trainer is training people in a contact center. And on the phones, in a call, in a contact center, it doesn't matter how many people are holding. There could be 150 calls holding, but you can only deal with the call that you're on. There's a powerful life lesson in that, in dealing with emotions. When it comes to worry, you can only focus on what's in front of you. That's why the headlights of your car only shine 10 feet in front of you at night. Because you're not supposed to see the whole road and the whole journey. You're only supposed to see a little portion at the time. And when you cover that 10 feet, you can see the next 10 feet. And when you cover those 10 feet, you can see the next 10 feet. That's what helps us deal with the weight of worry a lot of times. 1, try not to carry past issues. 2, don't presume future problems. And 3, Focus on living in the now. You know, you can miss out on enjoying what's in front of you right now by looking to the left and to the right and before you and behind you, when what's in front of you is so important, the now. You can be so worried about what your children are going to do when they become adults that you don't enjoy them right now as children. The weight of worry will drag you down. It's time to rise up and don't let the weight of worry pull you down, but you stand up, and instead of it managing you, you manage it. I'm Scottie the Trainer. That's how I see it. Thanks for joining me for Scottie the Trainer Tuesday.